In the past, Roblox was filled with creative games beloved by many, but not anymore. Sadly, Roblox is now full of the same repetitive games, gaining thousands of players and making millions, while creative and unique games are forgotten and abandoned. But in order to find out how Roblox games lost its creativity and charm, we need to find out the full story. Beginning our story 8 years ago, imagine you were a person who just joined Roblox. You might think that games during this time were incredibly boring and simple, but you would be dead wrong. You could find tons of memorable games on the front page for anyone to play, from surviving randomized and chaotic disasters that seem impossible to survive, or team up with your friends to fight your way of a zombie apocalypse. There were so many great games during this time that stood out in their own way, but something's very odd. How could these games that are older than players nowadays be enjoyed by so many people back then? Why were these games more creative and original
Oh, what happened to my head?
compared to now? There had to have been something different back then. So let's actually get to the bottom of this. Now, even though today we can create incredibly realistic games or host servers with hundreds of players, it was impossible to do that back then due to limitations and lack of tools developers had access to. But even though this sounds like a bad thing, it was actually beneficial. You see, because of all the limitations at the time, if you wanted your game to reach the top, brainstorming and coming up with a creative idea for your game mattered the most. In fact, look at all the memorable games you may have played back then, especially the most popular ones. Despite all the flaws, they were some of the most beloved games on the platform, thanks to their creative concepts. So when making a game, coming up with a fun, creative idea was really important, since games were really limited at the time. So with more emphasis on being creative, games were more creative and fun, allowing developers to make the games you know and love today.
He's nice.
But another important thing was Roblox's relationship with players. At the time, Roblox was more closely knit with their community than ever, and used to do many things that would be unheard of today to promote creative games that caught their attention. From the review series on YouTube of over 188 games highlighting what makes them unique and fun, to the monthly events that encourage you to try out new games to win items, and Roblox even went as far as to hire a passionate developer to work for the platform because of how well this game was. Because of how much Roblox was involved in the community, it encouraged people to get more creative with their games and think more outside the box. As a result, the bond between Roblox and players were stronger, games were incredibly innovative and fun, and it goes to show how much creativity alone can bring an entire platform together. With that, Roblox is thriving. Tons of creative and fun games are on the rise. The platform is growing more and more with millions of players every year, and it seems like Roblox has a bright future ahead. What could possibly ruin this? It's now a new year. Here, tons of new games are on the rise.
One of the newest Roblox game modes right now, and it is huge! Everyone is playing this game. It is insane.
But also, something else new started to appear on the platform. Simulators. Well, not exactly new. You see, until this point, simulator games were actually known to replicate a real-life activity. But with this new year, a new type of simulator genre started to pick up, clicker ones. Now, the main gist of these games was just clicking to upgrade to more clicking, a repetitive loop you're doing over and over again. But what people saw as some simple, boring clicker game quickly became a huge hit on Roblox. But how could a game with gameplay like this blow up on Roblox, gaining thousands of daily players in 2017, compared to, well, any other game? Well, I think I may have found the answer. You see, these games use very clever strategies that greatly boosted their growth, which not much games really did at the time. One big thing that allowed these types of games to become a hit is because of its simplicity. Since the hardest thing you need to do in these games is click, anyone could do it. But let's be honest, most people wouldn't dedicate their time clicking to watch a number go up. But one big demographic of Roblox players loved it. Children. You see, with Roblox growing more and more cheer, it is a platform meant for everyone to create games, but children were some of its most common users. So with these simulators being a game that children could easily play, they were able to grow very popular. But while getting lots of players is great, getting them to keep on playing is another task. I mean, imagine owning the most popular game on the platform, only to find your game completely abandoned by the next day. Well, simulators incorporated these gameplay loops that entice players to keep on grinding for the next best upgrade. And along with adding leaderboards that showed people with the highest ranks, this gave players something to compete for, causing many to put hours into these simulator games in an attempt to reach the #1 spot. And with all this, simulators were able to blow up, rake in millions, and some becoming the most popular game on the platform. However, with the success these games brought,
Oh no!
not everyone was happy about it. Although they were simple games to play which helped them become successful, many of the new simulators simply lacked any creativity or depth in gameplay, contrasted by many other games at the time, causing many players to grow bored of its repetitive structure. Additionally, many simulators included tons of microtransactions and game passes in their game, and while it did help them become super rich, it also made the game less fair to those who don't have the money to spend on these games. So while simulators did become a popular hit on the platform, many players were not happy that these types of repetitive pay-to-win games were becoming successful. But then again, while simulators are not the best thing we've seen on the platform so far, the front page still has tons of creative and genuine games to try out and play, even with a few bad apples. Besides, I'm sure that in the coming years, we'll have a front page filled with even better games than we have it now. I'm sure of it. But little did anyone know at the time, things were gonna get worse. As simulators grew more and more popular, many people began to notice how well they performed, and if something is proven to work well, why not do the same, especially if you can obtain the same success? So quickly over time, people began to publish their own games that followed the same formula, with simple mechanics, many microtransactions, and repetitive gameplay loops. Now, although popular games were more engaging and people were playing them for longer, because these mass-produced games copied the strategies of what simulators did, creative and original games weren't able to keep up, because while these games were made out of passion for people to enjoy, these mass-produced games were made for profit and engagement only. And at this time, games that could keep players playing and coming back were rewarded. But if the game wasn't able to perform well as simulators were, it would be promoted less. Essentially, games were starting to be punished for taking the creative route. Try to imagine being an inspiring developer, and you started to work on your own game that you spend months passionately working on, only to get a few players. While in the meantime, these simple formulaic games get thousands of players, just because the game is more engaging with kids. But while this is happening, why isn't Roblox doing anything? Since you've seen in the past how much Roblox is passionate about creativity in games. However, things have changed. You see, Roblox gets a cut from the profits these games make. And since these games are bringing more money and players, why would Roblox shut it down? Sure, creativity is being lost here, but if it's making tons of money and growing the platform, nothing of value is being lost here, right? But while Roblox was sitting back and doing nothing, players started to notice the quality of games changing, and they weren't happy. The platform that they once knew as a place where you could find tons of unique and fun games has now transitioned into an era where games feel like they were only made to make profit, abandoning creativity. Meanwhile, players' critiques and complaints will be met with nothing, since Roblox has slowly grown more distant from their playbase, where now Roblox only focuses on becoming as successful as possible, severing that special connection they once shared. So as a result of Roblox's need for more players and success, we have games that do just that. Experiences that can hook players in and keep them playing for hours while using many methods to get players to spend more money, even to the point of introducing gambling. for games meant for kids. And while the same mundane games that can keep players playing thrive, the creativity and imagination Roblox used to be all about are no longer present on the front page. But when you really look at the whole story, the decline of creativity on Roblox is the result of Roblox forgetting what made it so popular in the first place. People flocked to Roblox not because games were super addicting or flashy, but because they were fun, creative, and an unforgettable experience with friends, which it feels like they're trying to move away from, causing Roblox to grow more and more unrecognizable from what it used to be. And going off of that note, I really enjoyed making this type of video, and if you want to see more like it, maybe subscribe and like the video, but only if you actually enjoyed it. Okay, I really need some coffee.